PlayStation leak reveals return of PS2 God of War games. The PS2 God of War games look PS5 and PS Plus bound. So I seen this news and I thought it was pretty interesting, so I figured I can go ahead and do a video on it. It is one of those things. I am personally a big fan of the God of War games. I actually own all of the God of War games. So I have the mainline ones, of course. So God of War 2, God of War 3, and then, God of War the reboot as well as Ragnarok. But I also do have the ones that were kind of like the side games. So Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, and I believe Ascension. I'm not sure if I even said those in the right order, but I do own them. Have I beaten them all? No, unfortunately not. So it was one of those things. Hearing this news, part of me is like, I don't need to worry about it personally because I already own the game. So if I want to, I can just go ahead and go back and play those ones. But I figured it was something I can go ahead and get into and kind of give my thoughts because I do kind of have some thoughts I want to give when it comes down to this information. So we'll check out some of the information here in this article. So it looks like PlayStation is preparing to re-release the PS2 era God of War games on PS5 and via PlayStation Plus. And then they just go into the reboot pretty much for the God of War games. So we'll go ahead and skip that part. As pointed out over on Reddit, the PlayStation Plus tab for the PS5 was recently updated by Sony to make navigating the PS Plus offering easier. One of these changes includes separated the PS Plus classics into different categories depending on the platform. And for each platform, there is accompanying icon art featuring a character from one of the supported games. Right now, the PS2 selection features a Greek era Kratos icon, which is odd because there are no PS2 God of War games available via PlayStation Plus. So, kind of gave a little bit of an example here of what they're going to be doing. So, right there, it's pretty cool. I'm a real big fan of the old school Kratos. It is one of those things. I do like the redesign that they were able to give him later on in the later games with the beard and everything, because he does kind of have that like distinguished look. But you can't help but love the old school Kratos. He looks so badass here. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue on. This is noteworthy by itself, but even more noteworthy with context. As you may now, I think they meant to put as you may know or may know now. The same thing happened with Regina from Dino Crisis before the PS1 game was added to the PS Plus Premium this month. So this is one of the things that has me a little bit concerned is the fact that they did kind of do this whole shitty thing when it came down to Dino Crisis where they stated that they were going to be bringing the game to PS5, so the newer consoles, but they didn't give any information as to how they were going to go about it. So when they did release it, they did put it so that you have to purchase the premium subscription in order to play, which personally I did a video on it and I think it's really shitty of them. And this is one of those things where there's been so many things like as far as news goes that's been coming out with PlayStation that it feels like they're just trying to do as much reselling as they can with older games like God of War and just other things where it feels like they kind of know they're kind of the only players right now as far as the gaming wars kind of go. There is Nintendo still, but Nintendo has always been kind of doing its own thing, so we never really have to worry about them. But as far as like them and Microsoft goes, Microsoft is pretty much, it feels like they've given up at this point. I mean, yeah, they're still kind of doing stuff here and there, but for the most part, it seems like this is all PlayStation's game. And it really sucks because it's really feeling like without any competition for PlayStation, they're just doing whatever they want in regards to like selling products and stuff like that and not really caring as far as the gamers go. They're just kind of trying to do what they can to make a profit every which way they can from gamers. Like trying to squeeze as much money as they can out of them, it feels like to me. Well, at least for me personally. So that's one of those things that's kind of hearing that information. I'm like, oh no, that's not a good thing. So let's go ahead and continue on. This could be a mistake or an oversight, but that seems unlikely. The question is not whether this is indicative of PS2 era God of War games coming to PS5 and PS Plus Premium, but what games specifically. There are only two PS2 God of War games, the first God of War and God of War 2. Presumably, the pair would be added together, but it is possible one or the other. Probably the first game will be added first. Whatever the case, Sony is up to something with beardless, angry Kratos and involves PlayStation Plus Premium. So, again, it's one of those things like my guess is that chances are PlayStation probably doesn't have a lot of people that are doing their premium subscription and service because from personal experience as someone that prefers kind of like physical games and everything like that as opposed to buying online, there really isn't much as far as like for me at least, that's really worth paying the premium subscription for PlayStation. And the fact that they had changed it where they put three different tiers, I feel like was such a grimy and shitty thing to do, considering that for so long they just had the single subscription. Now, granted, I'm sure there are some people that are out there actually paying for the premium subscription, but the fact that they've been doing stuff like this, where they're kind of putting these games kind of behind that type of paywall, it's really starting to feel like they're just trying hard to kind of add those numbers and boost them up. I'm really hoping that a lot of gamers out there don't really get like fall for this type of stuff and don't really pay for it, because it is one of those things. I feel like if so many people kind of show them like, no, even if you're going to have like these old school games and everything like that, we're not going to pay for this subscription service. Like you could either go back to having it to where it's one, or just not have that many people that are really interested, because I don't think there's really enough people that pretty much benefit in the sense that like they're getting their money's worth with having to do the three tier subscription. I could be completely wrong. I don't know, because this is all just me speculating and everything like that. But just as a gamer myself, I think I don't know. It just, like I said, it feels like they're trying to squeeze as much money as they can from every single player that they can, which I personally I'm not a fan of. I don't really like that. So let's go ahead and check out these last two articles and then we'll go from there. So if either or both PS2 God of War games do come to PlayStation Plus Premium, it means subscribers of the most expensive tier will be able to play both games for free of charge, which is such a stupid thing to say, because it's not free of charge if you're having to pay, as they put it, for the most expensive tier. So I don't know. It just, especially because I feel like hearing people say something like this kind of almost negates to what I just pretty much talked about, where it is one of those things that there are still people out there that are going to be paying for the top tier subscription, because I bet you anything there are people that kind of look at it from that perspective. It's like, oh, well, if I pay the most expensive subscription, then I'll be able to play all these games free of charge. It's like, yeah, I guess, but honestly, I'm someone that would really prefer to actually purchase the game and own it, as opposed to doing a subscription service where if I decide to stop paying for that subscription service, then I can't play those games anymore. I think that's very stupid, and it's really indicative of what is happening with the gaming industry as a whole. And it's one of those things, people have been speculating that, with the new PS6, whenever that decides to launch, or if Xbox does decide to come out with another console, that more than likely it's not going to have any type of disc drive, kind of like what they did with the PlayStation Pro, where maybe you can add it, but for the most part, they probably won't have anything like that at all, and it's going to go all digital. And if that ends up becoming the case with the next generation of gaming, I pretty much am speculating that I'm going to be out. I'm not going to really care enough to really go and purchase these games online and everything like that, unless I'm able to actually own them. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, when you purchase games online, you're not really owning the games at all. You're really just paying for a license to play the games. So that's why it was one of those things as well. I was so happy when California had passed that bill where they kind of made the online companies state that no, you aren't paying for this. You're just pretty much buying a license until for a limited time. So that makes me happy that they were able to do something like that. But again, it just shows the direction that Sony's going in. So let's go ahead and continue on. So PlayStation Plus Premium won't be required to play the games on PS5 though. They will be available for purchase, as it always is the case when PlayStation Classics are brought to the PS5 via the PlayStation Plus Premium. Those who don't want to buy the games outright will need a PlayStation Plus premium subscription, though. At the moment of publishing, neither Santa Monica Studios nor PlayStation has commented on the apparent leaks in any capacity. We don't suspect this will change for a couple of different reasons, but if it does, we will be sure to update the story accordingly. So, yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. Like I said, I'm really disappointed in how Sony has been acting recently. I've had a lot of people, have been saying that, Sony is a piece of shit company in general, but especially now that they don't really have any competition, they're just kind of showing their hand as far as what type of company they are, which again, it was one of those things when I came out with my Banjo-Kazooie video, I was pretty much shitting on Microsoft the whole time. But at the same time, Sony isn't any better. Like, it's the same thing, as well as the fact that just like Microsoft, Sony isn't a gaming company. It's a company that works on electronics that happen to get into gaming. I'm really hoping we get to a point, especially in the future of gaming sometime soon, that we're able to start having companies come out that are actually gaming companies. That's one of the great things about Nintendo is the fact that it's not some company that works on other products and then does gaming on the side. Gaming is what Nintendo is about, and they do other things on the side, which I really prefer. And I really wish we got to a point like that. Like if we can get back to actual like not console wars, but company wars, kind of like Sega and Nintendo from back in the day. I'd rather prefer to see something like that than something like Microsoft and Sony going up against each other. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Would you guys be excited for the God of War coming out in PS5? And is it one of those things, would you guys be willing to pay for the premium subscription with PlayStation Plus? Personally, like I said, I wouldn't, but let me know what you guys think. So if you guys could also like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching the video this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.